Halo 2 Legendary is commonly referred to as one of gaming's hardest challenges. Unfortunately for me, I have the obsession of making my life an ever-living hell. Hey, my name is G.I. Loaf, and I'm going back to the Bungie Classics to take on Halo's hardest challenges. In my previous videos, I completed both the Reach and CE campaigns on LASO, and today I'm taking on my biggest hurdle yet, Halo 2 LASO. Let me give you a quick rundown. LASO stands for Legendary All Skulls On. This turns the typical Legendary campaign into the gaming equivalent of walking barefoot across a hallway of Legos. But hey, you get a shiny new achievement if you manage to conquer the challenge. There are a total of 14 skull modifiers in the Halo 2 LASO playlist, and I'll explain some of the more important ones as they come up in game. But I bested the LASO challenge twice already, and there is no way in hell it's gonna stop me now. I think this game's difficulty is too overhyped, and I have enough experience at this point, so this should be a piece of cake.
Are you sure?
Halo 2 LASO hits you with one of the hardest challenges right off the bat with Cairo Station. Compared to the other two campaigns that I've played, Cairo Station is the hardest intro by far. Right off the bat, you'll notice I have no HUD, and that's thanks to the Blind Skull. The Blind Skull removes all HUD elements, so I have no way of knowing what ammo I have, how much shield I have, or even what weapon I'm holding. This skull is a bit of an inconvenience, but there are far worse skulls to come. Like I said before, this mission is an absolute kick in the nuts when it comes to difficulty. It took me a little over an hour to deal with a small group of enemies, and I was already questioning whether or not to make this video. You'll notice that the enemies are invisible due to the Assassin Skull. Because of this, I'm playing on OG graphics. Enemies are a lot harder to see in the Anniversary graphics, and I'm already at a large disadvantage, so no pretty graphics for me. After this room is cleared, I begin the start of a very long and tedious process, which involves corralling Johnson throughout the entire mission. He's meant to despawn once you get past this point, but I'm able to smack him farther into the mission and use him as elite bait. The only issue with this is that I have to push boxes around just to make sure he doesn't escape, and if I keep my eyes off of him for too long, he'll just despawn, and I really can't have that happen. Where the fuck is Johnson? After beating off Johnson, I drop him onto the floor of the hangar and set up on the platform that would be my home for many hours. The enemies here have a very good view of me no matter where I stand, and it took me a lot of attempts to finally clear the first hangar. After dying to grenade after grenade, and this fucking guy. What the fuck? What? I effectively used Johnson as bait, killing all the enemies, allowing me to progress to the second hangar. This area is fortunately a lot simpler, and I spent far less time here than the first hangar. After moving some boxes around to keep the enemies on their side of the room, I move a box in front of the turret, which allows me to use said turret safely without my body showing. This allows me to safely pick off the enemies and reenact D-Day, killing the Covenant as they jump off of their ship. Once the coast is clear, I'm back to beating Johnson and heading down another long hallway. Unfortunately for me, I took too long killing the enemies in the room above the hallway, and Johnson despawned. I spent probably about 15 minutes searching every inch of the playable area, and he was just simply gone. I said fuck it and we ball, and I decided to try and complete the mission without him. All was good until I made it to the drone section and was humbled very quickly. I didn't have much trouble with the drones themselves, but once the elevator came up with all the elites and grunts, I started having some issues. After many attempts, I decided I just need to reset the mission, and if you'd seen my previous videos, you know I have a lot of mission resets, but this is the first time I was in control of the reset. So with 5 hours of my life down the drain and nearly zero will to keep playing, I started all over again. Except this time, once I cleared the hangar, I did everything differently. No more corralling Sergeant Johnson around, and no more enemies. There's a trick that was referred to me, and I decided to give it a shot. You're able to overload the memory within the game by shooting a needler at a corpse stuck in a door. The needles don't explode on the corpse while it's trapped, so every needle sticks, slowly overloading the memory within the level. I stood here shooting the corpse for about 15 minutes until the memory was successfully overloaded, and it would probably take less time if I didn't have Johnson reload the needler every time I emptied the mag, but this is the only way I can get infinite ammo without cheating. Now with the memory full, I leave Johnson behind and head my way safely through the mission. This was a huge relief after nearly beating the level once already, and with no enemies in my way, I skip along the halls of Cairo Station and make it down the elevator, making it past where I last had to reset. Back outside, there's a single elite, but he can't fire the plasma turret, so I just give him a pat on the back and head to the final room. In this room, there is one more elite, and I need to be very careful because if I die, I have to go all the way back to the hangar before I did the overload. The overload stops all further checkpoints, so that's the only thing I had to be careful about. I fortunately removed the elite from the situation and end my first mission of Halo 2 LASO. With Cairo Station out of the way, I am on to Outskirts, which has a dramatic turn in difficulty. I pretty much skip the entire first half of the mission by jumping on the rooftops until I make it to the Hotel Zanzibar. While I have the opportunity, I'll go ahead and mention a couple of other skulls that I didn't bring up earlier. First off, we have the Anger Skull, which causes enemies to fire faster and more frequently while also influencing elites to become aggressive and draw their energy swords. Secondly, we have the Black Eye Skull, which regenerates your shield when you kill an enemy with a melee. This also has some quirks due to certain assets within the game having health, allowing me to melee objects for a recharge. Halo 2 removed health packs, so this is also your only way to regen your shield while you're in LASO. Finally, we have the Sputnik Skull, which reduces the mass of items but also causes enemies to turn around when you hit them, making elites a lot easier to take on up close. Once I get to the hotel, I drop down from the rooftops using the Sputnik Skull to kill an elite, and then head inside to pre-fire a group of enemies with grenades. I beat up a couple of split lips, and then head outside and snag a ghost. With the ghost, I drive out in the open water so I can pick off a couple of enemies and drive past them so that I can make it to the highway. This level is a walk in the park, is what I would have said if I didn't have to reset the mission 3 times because the Warthog wouldn't spawn in. I need the Warthog to safely make it to the end of the mission, and I couldn't get it to spawn in for the life of me. So after 3 resets, I grab the Warthog and head to the most difficult part of the level. I struggled here for a while due to the ghost, and with me being at low HP, it was hard to get by, but I learned that I could simply just wait the ghosts out and drive past without a problem. That's really it for Outskirts. It's a much easier mission compared to Cairo Station, and up next is Metropolis, which is really just a continuation of Outskirts. When playing this game normally, typically you would grab the Scorpion and head over the bridge, but for my LASO run, I drive over the bridge with a Warthog, go and snag some shield from a traffic cone, and then go back over the bridge once everything is despawned. So now I can go back to the Scorpion, and it will have full health for this next area. I squeeze the tank through the blockade and get to work. And I know it's LASO, but how the fuck am I dying inside of a fully armored 66 metric fucking ton killing machine? After a few attempts, I clear the highway and bring a Warthog through the service tunnel. I smack a Jackal Sniper and head outside the map so I can do a nade jump that despawns all of the enemies. From here, it's just a bunch of driving until I sit and do nothing for about 5 more minutes waiting for enemies to despawn so I can head inside of the building. I meet the Scarab for the first time, which was one of the scariest things to me in this game when I was a wee child. Eventually, I make it to the end of the mission where I launch the Covenant off of the Scarab, board it, and take up the Covenant inside, finishing Metropolis. With the last 2 missions being a breeze through the park, I hit my next roadblock with the Arbiter. This mission isn't too terrible in terms of difficulty, but I definitely struggled more than I should have. I start the mission by shoving my allies off the map because in this first room, the amount of AI that spawns is actually based on the number of allies you have, so less allies, less pain. Once the door opens, I pop invis and fly past his first room and take the elevator down to the hangar. Once the elevator is low enough, I use my invis and book it to the other end of the room so I can open the hangar door. This allows my allies to come in with the Phantom and distract the enemies, making it easier for me to kill them. I use a trick called head glitching that keeps enemies from shooting me most of the time. It doesn't always work. While head glitching, I'm able to melee anyone close enough to me, allowing me to backsmack them until I can safely take out the rest. Once the heretics are dead, I take out the sentinels focusing the Phantom and prepare for more waves of enemies. There are a couple of waves of enemies that come after the first firefight, and I was stuck here for a good while. With the room being so open and the Sputnik Skull not always working in my favor, I receive my fair share of deaths. It took me a few minutes, but I eventually cleared the hangar and made it to my next problem room. This room is nearly impossible to clear normally, so I tried my best to invis and head glitch my way through it. Unfortunately, parkour is not my strong suit, and I could not take the recommended path. I had a good run where I managed to head glitch my way through the room, but once I entered the hallway, I was met with heretics and would die. I would be stuck in this loop for a good 2 hours until I inevitably received my first unconsenting mission reset. One of the 14 skulls in the playlist is the Iron Skull, which resets a level upon death while in solo and reverts to your last checkpoint in co-op. This skull sucks and is extremely annoying, so you can work around this by saving and quitting. This works a majority of the time, but this game has a personal vendetta against me, and I tend to get mission resets more often than I would like. After about another hour, I make it back to the room and slip into the hallway. This time, I'm able to sneak into the spawn door of the elites and slowly pick off the enemies one by one as they funnel into my energy sword. With 4 hours played in this mission, I head to my next room, which surprisingly wasn't as bad as I was expecting. If I invis and do some parkour, the room is practically free, but as I previously stated, I f***ing suck at parkour, and it took me a minute to learn how to make this jump. After about 5 attempts, I make the jump and throw a plasma nade at an elite so he can't snipe me, and I head to the final room of the mission. In the last room, I wait until the doors open, I pop my invis, sneaking past the enemies, and hop into the Banshee and fly to the next mission, the Oracle. Just like Outskirts and Metropolis, the Oracle is a continuation of the Arbiter. Right away, we get reacquainted with the Flood, and the Flood reveal in Halo 2 is definitely the least exciting out of the 3 mainline games, but this game story makes up for it. The Oracle is a much simpler level than the Arbiter and tends to be pretty boring if you play it the safe way, and surprise to no one, I will be doing exactly that. After I leave the first room, I'm presented with an elevator that would normally be a huge pain in the ass, but I'm able to head glitch, and this skips the entire encounter. This next room could also present some issues, so after I jump down and spawn the enemies, I jump right back up and hide in the previous hallway and proceed to wait for 12 minutes. I could go down and fight the enemies, but the door is on a timer, so I'd rather be safe than sorry. Once 12 minutes has passed, I need to quickly hop down and go into the door behind the enemies. But here is a prime example of why I think Needler Grunts are worse than Jackal Snipers. If having aimbot wasn't enough already, now they shoot at Mach and obliterate my asshole. With a successful second attempt, I get rid of anyone preventing the door from closing and head outside to kill some carrier forms and start some parkour. By now, you should know I suck at this and it took me way too many tries to make this jump. After numerous attempts, I make the jump and leap across the path beneath me. This may seem redundant, but by doing this, I can jump over and onto the ramp, which despawns the enemies that would normally be up here if I didn't skip the load zone. With the area clear, I'm free to head inside and kill the remaining enemies until I catch a cutscene. We're almost at the end of the mission, and it helps that the rest should be a piece of cake. I said it would be a piece of cake. Okay. Maybe not. God damn it. After eventually killing everything and watching the cutscene, I need to quickly make my way up and turn on the elevator. It's important that I do it as fast as I can, otherwise the enemies will have spawned already and will make this much harder than it needs to be. As you can see, I did call the elevator up, but I didn't realize it would take so long to come back down. Instead of thinking rationally, I freak out and press the button many times, resulting in nothing, and I die. It's alright though, I should have a checkpoint right after the cutscene. Are we f***ing dead ass? No, f*** this stupid ass fucking piece of shit goddamn game. I'm so tired of this shit. Yeah, I wasn't too happy, and I honestly do not blame myself one bit. After about another hour and a half of this mission, I eventually make it back to the elevator room and do the glitch successfully. If I call the elevator up and then force it to come back down, it will send me flying to the top while also giving me invincibility for the remainder of the mission. I'm not entirely sure how or why this works, but I'm not gonna complain. Up top, I break the 3 cables and hop my way back down. The only downside to this trick is that if you don't go down the elevator at the right time, your gravity will be extremely fucked up and it makes the rest of the mission a little difficult to navigate. As you can see, I did just that, but it isn't really too bad to finish the rest of the mission. Some parts might be a little annoying like this, or I'm getting shot at constantly and it won't let me fall down to where I need to be. The boss fight with the heretic would prove to be a little bit of a struggle as well, but nonetheless, I take him out and head to the next mission, Delta Halo. The easy part of the LASO campaign continues with Delta Halo, which is definitely the shortest and easiest mission by far. It does, however, give me the opportunity to bring up another skull, the Catch Skull. As you just saw, the Catch Skull allows enemies to throw and drop grenades much more frequently, so it's not too uncommon to watch the Iron Dome unleash all hell upon you. After the beginning of the mission is cleared, it's time to head outside of the map. The majority of Delta Halo is just oobing and hitting load zones whenever necessary. After hitting my first load zone, I continue walking outside of the map until I drop down and nab a ghost. I use this ghost to head back up the hill and then drive until I reach my next load zone. Hitting this load zone is a little bit sketchy, but it really isn't all that bad. I shoot a boost as soon as I see the text in the bottom right of my screen, and once a load zone is hit, I drive to the end of the mission and trick an elite to hop in, allowing me to easily take him and his buddies out. Once all the elites are dead, the mission ends and we head into the next mission, Regret. It's been a nice and relaxing break with these simpler missions, but from here on out, shit gets fucky. Regret would prove to have one of the most annoying intros of any mission that I have played so far. At the start, I quickly jump up to spawn camp some elites and then run back into the spawn room so I can take care of the horde of drones that is currently hunting down my marines. It is extremely important that at least one of the marines survives, or else I would need to reset the mission. I'd previously stated at the beginning of the video that it's much easier to see enemies in OG graphics, but in this room, I found that it is easier for me to see them in Anniversary. I cleared the room of drones and checked to see if any of the marines survived, which one did, but he went outside and got himself killed. No marines, no progressing, which means I need to do a reset. I would struggle here for what would seem to be an eternity until I successfully cleared the room, with some surviving marines allowing me to finally get to work. Or not, because I also happen to need a needler and not a single enemy had dropped one on this run, so I get to reset again. Wow, aren't we just having so much fun? After countless attempts, the elites are dead, the drones are taken care of, the marines have survived, and I have a needler ready to go. It's time to set up the spawn room so that I can overload the memory of the mission just like Cairo Station. This time it's a little different though, because I'll be using guns to glitch out the door instead of a body. Every gun happens to get stuck in the door differently, making it a lot harder to land all of my needles, unlike the body I used previously. With the Marine in the room and my weapons thrown into the door, I am able to begin overloading the memory within the mission. This took a lot longer than Cairo Station because of A, the smaller hitbox on weapons, and B, me failing to execute the infinite ammo glitch with the Marine, resulting in starting the overload over and over again. Despite spending a literal hour on this overload, it was finally complete and I was ready to head to the next segment of the mission. I hop into the gondola and head glitch just in case anything would spawn, and unfortunately for me, a drone slipped through the overload and sent me back to do the overload once again. To add insult to injury, I accidentally killed my first Marine, and the second Marine was too low health for me to hit him into the room. I decided I would save and quit to get my checkpoint, but made the mistake that would cost me another 2 hours of my life.
No, I'm a shit.
Yeah, I did that. One might say I regret making that decision.
Shut your fucking mouth!
It was at this point that I said, screw it, I am just not going to do the overload anymore. Instead, I picked off the Jackal snipers and did a nade jump so that I can make it to the gondola without hitting the load zone. Once I make it to the gondola, I throw grenades at specific times so that they land as I touch the load zone, disrupting the elites, which gives me the opportunity to safely hop back onto the gondola. This took multiple attempts, but after an hour of trying, I finally survived and was able to make it to the next segment of the mission. During the gondola ride, I had to spam my melee button in order to delay a checkpoint and despawn this phantom that would drop off enemies that I would otherwise need to kill in order to continue on this run. From here, the mission is pretty smooth sailing. I hop in an elevator to ride to another structure, take out long hallways full of grunts, and dodge some hunters until I ride a second elevator to the next structure. This is where things started to get rough again. Once I exit the elevator, I have 2 elites to take care of and a handful of grunts off to the right. These guys aren't too much of a threat, but once they're all dead, I have a group of enemies outside that had me rocking in my chair while I was in the fetal position.
No, dude, like, what the fuck is this? How am I supposed to get a shot off?
Death after death after death. I eventually managed to kill the drones and take everyone else out once the Pelican arrived. Unfortunately for me, the lunge in Halo 2 is both a gift and a curse, and it sent me off the map with this Jackal. Thank God I got a checkpoint as the Pelican showed up so that I didn't end up killing myself. With this area cleared, I hop into another gondola and kill some more enemies so that I can go do a rocket nade jump, which I got first try, by the way. From here, it's pretty simple. That jump allowed me to enter the boss room early so that I can block off all spawn points of enemies that would otherwise make this fight just about impossible. After everything is closed off, I touch the load zone and start the fight. When fighting the Prophet in a normal run, you're able to hop on and melee him no problem, but in LASO, you need to grenade board him so that his shield goes down, allowing me to actually damage him. After boarding him 5 times, he finally dies so that I can say goodbye to this dog shit level. I'll be honest, this is a top contender for one of the most difficult missions in this game, and that worries me for what's to come. Yes, I already know what happens, but this is just for the plot. Sacred Icon is Halo 2's rendition of the library, and I recently learned that it's not very appreciated by a majority of the Halo community, which I find crazy personally. I would play this mission over the library any day of the week. This mission was much easier than I expected, and there really isn't too much to say for this one. What I will say is it does tend to get repetitive with events, but I'd much rather have these than needing to wait for that fuck-ass oracle to open doors for me. Anyway, after a bit of running, I shoot the glowy things and then press a button to kill the Enforcer. Now I ride the platform to the end of the trench and kill a second Enforcer. With the Enforcer dead, I go through this door and run behind the Flood so I can skip this fight entirely and save me some time. I use my invis to dodge the Flood and beat the little popcorn to regen my shield. I eventually make it to a room that I need to grenade jump across. Should be easy peasy, right? Absolutely, but my rotted brain couldn't figure out how to make this jump for the life of me, and I kid you not, this was the hardest part of the mission, and it's the only reason it took me over an hour to complete. After 16 total attempts, I finally make the jump and pop my invis to book it past the Flood until I reach a vent that takes us to a small bit of combat. Before dealing with the Flood, I want to get some overshield, and thanks to the Black Eye Skull, I can use the Flood corpses to achieve that. There's a few combat forms that I take out, and then I'm back to using invis to run through the level. Remember when I said that I should use OG graphics for my LASO run? Well, I turned them off because I thought Anniversary might actually be able to help me for once. But before I continue, can you spot the carrier form? Ah, better luck next time. And if you said you saw him, you better stop fucking lying to me. After getting past the second time, I continue through the mission as normal until I reach a particular vent. I need to fall directly down the middle so that I land on a beam. While sitting on this beam, I can't take any damage, so I can safely take care of the infection forms and wait for the right moment so I can use my invis and book it past the combat forms. I unfortunately get bit-smacked and have to retry, except fun fact, I am the most unlucky motherfucker that I know, and I had a mission reset.
This fucking game, bro.
So after running through and failing the nade jump 11 more times, I make it back and actually go down the vent this time. At the bottom, I take out a few flood before I'm presented with yet another nade jump. Fortunately, I got this on my first try, so my neighbors didn't need to make a noise complaint and I didn't have to go to therapy. This nade jump allows me to skip the whole next encounter and lets the shipmaster kill all the flood for me, although the half-jaw had other plans and said fuck you. After a long while of waiting, a cutscene will trigger and it will send me to my next mission, the Quarantine Zone. Quarantine Zone is another super quick mission. From the start of the mission, I'm able to use a ghost to fly through just about everything and there isn't really anything to show. And I really don't feel like commentating over 5 minutes of me driving. So after driving through the whole level with a ghost, I get to a cutscene that will put me on a gondola. Instead of fighting the enemies like normal, I'm able to climb the gondola and sit in a safe spot until I reach my destination. Once the gondola is done moving, I'm able to jump down and head my way to the index to finish this mission. This is the fastest mission in the campaign by far, and it was a nice break. But up next is the Gravemind. If this mission isn't hell, I don't want to know what is. In the start of the mission, I'm kept in a never-ending cycle of death until I manage to take out one of the brutes. The second brute will go berserk, and I can now safely take him out without getting shot. A group of grunts will now spawn, and after I take them out, I open this door by standing next to it and stand inside at a specific point to despawn the next group of enemies. If done correctly, a grunt will spawn behind me and across from me. I throw grenades at a group to my left until there's only one remaining and hopes that it will be a berserking brute. With the group taken care of, I'm able to safely take out the carbine brutes along with our berserking buddy. I stand behind this object at this exact spot, and by doing this, I'll despawn the final waves of enemies that would normally spawn in this room. Cortana will tell me to put her on a pedestal, which lets me know that I am finally free to continue deeper into the pits of hell. The clips don't do it justice, but this was by far the longest I have ever spent on a checkpoint with a whopping 4 hours of footage. Fortunately, the level is pretty simple after I clear the beginning. I take out countless waves of enemies until I make it to the lift room, and at this point you can play normally or you can attempt the prison skip. I am anything but normal, so prison skip it is. This trick is a lot harder than I expected it to be, and it gave me some serious trouble. You're meant to time it perfectly so that a brute falls down the grav lift on top of you, allowing you to use a button combo that will send both you and the brute back up the lift, skipping the whole prison encounter. The brute refused to fall down the lift while on top of me, but if I managed to succeed, I'd somehow manage to kill him with my melee, making it impossible to perform the skip. I tried over and over again until I was hit with the inevitable mission reset.
No.
I don't know why this keeps happening to me. I've asked numerous people who have played LASO on MCC, and it has never happened to them. This game just flat out f***ing hates me, I guess. This reset hit extremely hard, and I really didn't want to play anymore at this point. But I decided to practice in a normal run before going back to my LASO. After an hour of attempts, I decided to swap to a controller to see if the combo was easier, and I actually got it to work. You can have this win, controller players. With my newly found motivation, I loaded back into my LASO run. It took me another few hours, but I cleared the intro and made it back to the prison. Now all I have to do is complete the skip and the hard part of the mission is over. Even with my practice from earlier, it took me a good amount of attempts, but with all odds against me, I managed to pull it off, and I was free, for real this time. The rest of the mission is a cakewalk compared to this.
Holy shit, yes.
With the prison out of the way, I skip along the halls of the High Charity until I make it outside. Rather than fighting my way through, I hop on the rocks to my right, allowing me to skip past everyone and hop down and ride the grav lift to the next area. On the other end, I kill a jackal sniper. I kill a jackal sniper. Holy shit, I might actually be the worst player ever. I use the roof of this area to skip this encounter so I can safely make it to the next grav lift. Rather than riding the lift, I go under so I can dodge the brute shots and sneak behind them and safely take them out. Continuing forward, I do a nade jump to safely cross this room full of drones and jetpack elites and head into this hallway. This hallway has a couple of brutes that I need to take out, but after I killed one of them, his buddy had other plans. I guess on my second attempt he got a little confused and I was able to just head right through. From here, things go pretty smoothly. I ride some grav lifts and do a brute shot jump just to despawn the enemies in this next area. I eventually make it to this bridge where I snipe the Covenant, and once they're dead, I fuel rod a couple of hunters. These are the final enemies that I actually need to kill because now all that remains is the final room. And rather than fighting them, all I need to do is spawn them in and then head back to where I came from. I stand in this hallway for about 11 minutes, and once the time is passed, I head back to the enemies. They're still going to be there, but this door will now be unlocked, allowing me to head to the bridge and finish the hardest mission in all of LASO, supposedly. Back with the Arbiter, I make it to Uprising. Uprising is my last extra easy mission, and after the Gravemind, I am going to enjoy this. I start off with just a little bit of stealth, followed by a couple of nade jumps, and after a small walk, I encounter a forerunner structure and continue forward with a little bit more stealth. I make it to a room full of jackals, and I take the flock out one by one, and once they're all dead, I can head outside. Out here, I use my invis so I can go and touch a load zone, and then hide behind a rock until my invis is back up. Touching that load zone spawn all the enemies ahead, and now I just have to go back inside to the jackal room and do a couple of jumps that allow me to run up this ramp and despawn all the enemies that I had just loaded. Now all I have to do is wedge myself in between this tree, jump onto the rocks, and walk outside the map until I find this spot, which will trigger the end cutscene immediately. With Uprising finished, I have 2 more missions until my LASO run is complete. Back with the mustard beef, I return to the High Charity, except this time I have the Flood to worry about. Fortunately, this mission is significantly easier in terms of difficulty compared to the Gravemind. I start off by holding my position on this pelican until a couple of carrier forms get dropped off so I can use them for overshields. Once I'm back inside, I pre-fire a group of brutes with grenades so that they move out of the way while I book it to the grav lift. This next part of the mission is definitely the riskiest in my opinion due to the amount of drones, which is why at the top of the lift I punch a crate into position so that I have some cover while I'm fighting them. I take out the drones and the Flood one by one, and once the room is clear, I take the light bridge, and instead of immediately going forward, I go to this door and punch these little Flood spores. Thanks to the old black eye skull, these will replenish my shields, and this mission has a lot of spores. With my full shield, I continue forward by sneaking past the Flood and taking out the other guys in this first room. I wait to go into this next room so the Flood can run past, making it safer for me to run behind everyone until I snag a brute shot so I can form 2 separate jumps. And these jumps, like most things I do in these LASO runs, save me from a lot of potential pain. I eventually make it to an elevator, and once I reach the top, I jump into a little side hallway until the Flood and the brutes are distracting each other. Once it's safe, I sneak into the next room, which has a grav lift, and at the top is the end of the mission. Rather than being risky and running through all the enemies, I'm able to jump on this cable thing and walk my ass safely to the end of High Charity. At last, I make it to the final test of my LASO run. To most Halo 2 challenge runners or speedrunners, this mission is nothing to worry about, but for me, well, we'll get into that later. I start off the mission by beating up my split-lip pal and stealing his Spectre. I head towards the structure, but then immediately turn around and do a loop. This despawns the enemies that would normally be here and make my life just a tad bit easier. Inside the structure, I use invis to sneak past some brutes and then do a little jump to skip past this room. This room tends to be very chaotic, and I don't feel like dealing with it. This bridge tends to be a bit of a shitty encounter, but I easily clear it by simply just taking my time. A phantom will eventually fly in, so I need to jump up on the structure so that it can't hit me and I can still shoot the drones on the other end. Once the drones are dead, I head inside to hit a load zone for the prison, but immediately turn around because I'm going to do a skip instead. I grab a brute shot and position my Spectre so that I can jump up and do 2 nade jumps. I use the brute shot and then use a plasma nade to make it to this platform. This skips the entire prison section and spawns in the brutes without their AI. This gives me the opportunity to backsmack them without getting back shots in return. Once they're dead, a cutscene begins, and from here, I'm able to head to the boss fight to finish this run once and for all. All I need to do is take my Spectre across the water and up the structure. Once I reach the top, I want to very slowly and carefully go down the other end. Oh, fuck. Oh, god damn. That's okay. I should at least have a checkpoint relative. What the fuck? After about 30 minutes, I return, and I'm gonna get it this time. Just gotta slowly go down, and oh shit. Just kidding. You thought I was gonna fall, didn't ya? Now I just gotta boost across, and the hard part is over. Oh shit. Alright, it's been another 30 minutes. I'm back. All I gotta do is land and go down. Oh my god. After multiple attempts, I land without dying, and I boost across without falling. All I need to do is slowly lower the Spectre down this ramp and hope to God I get teleported into the boss arena. With the Spectre successfully glitched inside, all I have to do is duplicate 3 extra Johnsons and let them get to work. I drive them into the arena, and after about 5 or so minutes, my squad of Johnsons overwhelms Tartarus, ending my Halo 2 LASO run. I can say without a doubt they were not kidding when they said Halo 2 LASO is one of gaming's hardest challenges. To give you an idea, Reach LASO took me 16 hours, CE took me 28 hours, and Halo 2, it took me 41 hours. I think that number speaks for itself. Now that I have 3 games out of the way, all that remains is Halo 3 and Halo 3 ODST. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe as it helps my content get out to more people, and I would appreciate it a lot. And don't forget to click on my CE LASO video in the corner and give that a watch if you haven't already. Thanks to everyone who stayed till the end. I appreciate you more than you know. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.